On air, online, on demand. Watch AFR when you want, where you want with CN8, the Comcast network.
Next story questions two things, how and why. Pretty simple in theory. How could a woman sitting in an emergency room not receive any form of medical attention for nearly a day? And when she passed out in that same room, why did bystanders, more specifically the medical staff there, do nothing to help her? The woman was 49-year-old Esmin Green, and she was admitted to the hospital's psychiatric emergency department on the morning of June 18th for a form of emotional distress. Roughly 24 hours later, she was dead. June 19th, 5:32 a.m. The video shows Green as she rolls off a waiting room chair and falls face down on the floor. 6 o'clock a.m. Hospital medical records say she got up and went to the bathroom, but the tape shows Green was still unattended and still on the floor. At 6:07, Green has now been on the floor for more than half an hour, during which time 2 security guards and a hospital employee each observe her on the floor, but did nothing. Shortly afterwards, Esmin Green stops moving. At 6:20, medical records say that Green was sitting quietly in the waiting room, but again, the tape shows otherwise. At 6:38, now more than an hour since she was on the floor, finally a hospital staff member enters the room and nudges Green with her foot. The employee then calls for a cart to pick her up off the floor. But by that time, Esmin Green is dead. 11 days after Green's death, New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, the group that oversees King County Hospital, released this statement. It reads, "We are shocked and distressed by this situation. It is clear that some of our employees failed to act based on our compassionate standards of care. Immediately after the incident was discovered on June 20th and following a preliminary investigation by HHC staff, HHC President Alan D. Avilles directed the suspension and the termination of those involved." Sanford Rubenstein is the attorney representing the Green family, and he joins me now from outside his law office in Brooklyn, New York. Mr. Rubenstein, thank you very much for being here. I know it's been a harried day for you so far. We apologize.
Well, thank you for having me.
I want you to, first of all, bring me up to date on the status of this case regarding Miss Green.
Well, there was an autopsy, and the autopsy report, which has been released, showed that the cause of death were blood clots that went from her leg to her lungs. Had she been treated in a timely fashion, examined and treated, she very well may have lived, because she could have been given anticoagulation drugs, she could have been given compression stockings, and she could have been told to walk around. Had she been examined and treated, she may very well have been alive today.
Well, I know this is a very, very difficult situation. We've looked at the surveillance tape. We just showed it to our viewers. I know that you have seen the tape. The family has seen the tape. It is distressing when you look at it. Can you talk about the state of mind for the Green family right now? Because obviously for them, seeing this tape must have been very disturbing.
I have to tell you, I was with them when they saw the tape, and it was horribly distressing. But what they want more than anything else is change, that policies be implemented at hospitals, not just in New York City, but all over the country, so this never happens to another family, and that the cover-up be prosecuted by criminal authorities. Right now, there are 2 investigations underway. Joe Hines, the Brooklyn District Attorney, is conducting 1 investigation, and the Commissioner of Investigations for the City of New York is conducting another one. Those who were responsible for this neglect, those who attempted to cover up this neglect, should be held accountable criminally. Well, that's what the family wants.
Well, you want $25 million for that responsibility as well in terms of this case. Is that partly due to the fact that there was a clear discrepancy between what was actually seen on the tape and what the hospital said was happening at the time, which we know wasn't true?
A notice of claim for $25 million was filed on behalf of the family to protect their rights. A jury will decide what this family is entitled to for the loss of a mother of 6 and for the pain and suffering that she went through immediately before her death.
Right, but in terms of the discrepancy on the tape, again, when we see Ms. Green as she rolls onto the floor, we see the security guard who comes and looks and does nothing, and then we see others who come into the room and do nothing. But again, the hospital said that at those times Ms. Green was sitting on the chair and just sitting in the waiting room, when we know that that wasn't the case.
I would use a stronger word than discrepancy. I would use the word cover-up. There was clearly an attempt to cover up this death, and that cover-up is part of the investigation that's being conducted by the prosecutorial authorities here in Brooklyn.
Well, the hospital, for its part, has terminated the people involved and say that they are cooperating with all of the people involved here. This is the statement here. We don't have time to read the whole thing, but they say that they're cooperating with everything. And Mr., I just want to ask you the final question here. Would that suffice? Can anything be enough? The fact that they are cooperating and that they say that they terminated the people who were involved, it can't simply end there for you, can it?
Look, a woman is dead who should not be dead. A family suffers the loss of their mother, which should not have happened. What has to happen is we need a blue ribbon panel, as proposed by Assemblyman Nick Perry, to find ways to improve the delivery of these health services so that this never happens again.
Okay. Well, Sanford Rubenstein, thank you very much for your time in this case. The attorney for the family of Esmin Green. The suit is underway, and we will continue to follow it and hear of what happens in the days to come. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Rubenstein. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Do want to hear from you about this and what you think about this case. You've seen the video. You've heard from the attorney. We read the statement from the hospital. Drop me an email at cn8.tv/AFR and let me know what you think about it.